So I assume you put the majority of the blame on this situation with Devers on the team. Not much of it on him.
Well, I mean, just kind of like what you guys have said. I get he was being a baby, and you got to groom, and massage these egos. But this was a total salary dump. Could have gotten way more for him, built a farm system, but I just think that John Henry has other things going on between Liverpool or the PGA Tour and even the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who the hell knows? He just knows that the Red Sox Fenway's going to sell out every single game, no matter what the salary's at.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sully, thank you for the call.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I'm confused, and this is why. I defend the organization because where was Sully March 25th? Where were these people when they spent all this money and they did all this stuff? And granted, I put 60% of the blame on the Red Sox for not being able to get ahead of this thing.
On March 25th, they didn't dump their highest paid player $300 million.
But no, I understand that.
Well, that's what's changed.
Part of this, why it's changed, and I give them 60%, but I think there are a lot of people out there that believe the reason why this changed was because of Devers. If Devers has a better attitude, and I'm just giving you the other side, they're not dumping salary. They're not trading Rafael Devers.
No, I think you're saying, is it fair to call them salary dumpers?
Right.
After the offseason in which they went out and were willing to pay Bregman $40 million and were willing to redo Crochet's deal, willing to give value for Crochet.
Everybody at
they had leverage over Crochet.
No, everybody at spring training and right when the season started was talking about, there's a new vibe. The fans were like, they spent money. Then the Crochet deal got done, and people are like, good for them. They're back on it. They gave Bregman $40 million.
I think that gives credibility to me. It doesn't take it away because they did.
But my point, Curtis, let me speak. My point is that if Devers, and I do agree with those people out there like Greg, if his attitude is better, they are not trading him, right? So this is something we're here because Devers didn't have a better attitude in many people's minds.
So here's where
So you can't ish on the Red Sox. And you can bang tables all you want. You can point to salary dumps and all this other nonsense. They're dropping $1.2 billion.
Who's banging a table?
Curtis back there banging tables. He was one of the people.
Curtis, were you banging?
Is this sentence going to end before 10?
No, it's not, because you were one of the people at the beginning of the season that was round of applause for the Red Sox for spending money and doing a great job.
That gives me credibility. I praise them when they did something right. I am not someone that just rips them because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I was in person, Sam wasn't at Fort Myers, but we were in person, and we saw with our own eyes, Greg fought through one of the worst illnesses of his life, got down there, and we all talked baseball and thought things had changed. If everything is the same, and they trade Devers, and we find out they eat half of the contract to get major league ready prospects or to get major league ready guys that they can then flip, the conversation is not about a salary dump. The way they acted and their actions show us that it was more important to offload the salary than it was to regain proper compensation. And that is exactly why they are getting ripped.
Well, no, they're getting ripped because some people believe they didn't get enough back for what they gave up for Devers. Yeah. People are not ripping them because of the salary dump. They're ripping them because they believe.
If it was a fire sale because they suddenly looked at their numbers and said, oh, my God, we're paying Rafael Devers too much. We don't have any cash in the register. Yes, I would be all over them. I don't think that was the priority. The number one priority, they screwed it up with him in the beginning, whatever. And then he couldn't get over it, and they couldn't get over it, and Craig Breslow was pissed that he told him to do his job, and he couldn't get over it. So they both of the sides put themselves in the position that they were eventually in.
Right.
And then the question remains, what kind of value you're going to get for him.
Right.
And so
Right. This is like saying before Super Bowl 52, nobody was complaining about Butler. Well, right, he hadn't been benched yet. Like, of course, we weren't saying this in March. Why would we be ripping the team for trading Devers? They didn't trade him.
But if
they had paid him $30 million a year, it's such a silly revisionist history.
No, but if we knew the real reason why they sat Malcolm Butler, we might not be crapping on Bill Belichick.
I mean, you're saying, I don't want to speak for you, but you're saying Curtis or others were not calling them cheap in March.
No, they weren't, and they're not saying
exactly.
And it became a salary dump only because the player did not want to buy in, which started with the attitude, and then the salary dump becomes
according to Pete Abraham, he said he'd play first base.
All right, well, I think most people believe it was he didn't want to buy in, and then it became, all right, we can't take no more of this, and we now have to move on from the player. And it wasn't about his salary, it's about the return you got. If you got a boatload of stuff for Devers, no one would be saying anything about salary.
It is about his salary, Greg, insofar as if he was making $8 million and not $300 million, he wouldn't have been traded.
He goes back to the $8 million.
Also, salary dump.
Just a fact, Wiggy. It's hard for you to moan over it and interrupt me, but that's a fact.
You keep saying something that we all know. If a guy is worth a lot less and is talented, we know that they're going to keep him around because, they'll deal with the headache because he's a lot cheaper.
So then it was a salary dump.
No, part of it became, we can't deal with Devers no more. We need to figure something out. All right, well, what do we do? Well, it'll help us that we trade the guy, and we'll save some money because if a team picks that up, we don't have to pay him.
Listen, I know it's old head, and I get it. I like the fact that they had the nuts to, when it comes to a very talented player that they believed maybe was going to be a problem going forward, that they were locked down with for 8 years, that they were willing to take the risk.
Right.
And I agree with Curtis. I wish they got more. I'm sure that this deal ended up being the best one in their mind because San Francisco covered all the money. I get all of those things, but it doesn't bother me that they were willing to do what they thought was the right thing for the future. If you had a guy who they believe to be a problem, we can debate all day long, and we'll probably never know whether he actually was a problem or he wasn't a problem.
A salary dump is Devers out there saying, "I'll play first base," and
not
then
number one, not salary dump, not number one on the list of the best dumps.
No, clearly not. I think that'll take place at Lake Winnipesaukee.
Yes.
But a salary dump would have been Devers saying, "I'll play first base," and then them still trading him.
Wouldn't you do like an aqua dump?
I think the main issue here that we are just
How do we have that?
There's a Courtney drop for everything.
There's a confused Courtney drop for every topic that might happen.
I think the main issue
Want to normalize aqua dumps? I never said that I wanted to normalize.
What did I say?
Aqua dumps.
No, I know.
Want to normalize aqua dumps?
What is an aqua dump?
When people poop in the water.
Oh.
Honey, let me see your dumper. Okay.
God, don't make me laugh.
Never
It
mind.
kills the mouth.
Never
What are we going to say, Courtney?
Nothing.
I think the bottom line here when it comes to the Red Sox that people are forgetting because we're now talking about salary and everything else is that the Red Sox are a top-notch organization that mishandled their best player. That's the issue. That's the issue I have with the Red Sox right now.
Yeah.
I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about money. I don't care about anything else that comes along with it. I don't care if Rafael Devers was a diva. If you are Craig Breslow, if you are John Henry, if you are Sam Kennedy, if you are Alex Cora, you should have the ability to handle him.
Should have had the bot break the news to him about Bregman.
I want to normalize.
Hello, Raffy. Raffy, may I speak to you for 5 minutes? I have some alarming news that may bother you at some point. We have signed Alex Bregman for $40 million.
Is that a baby? Is that a Baby Ruth in the pool?
Going to ask you if you would mind moving to first base, and if you aren't, I am going to crush your jugular. Probably would have gone better.
Yeah, probably would have.
Yeah.
It sounds more personable than Sam Kennedy.